All right, let's see if we're live. Just a couple technical errors. No big deal. That's what happens. We fight through it. Let's see if we're live. We're live. All right, let's send the link out. I'm going to tweet the link out.
Tweet it out.
You're pumped.
Let's go, baby.
This is like your Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I love it.
If cadets is your 1A, is junior trials a 1B?
Yeah. Yep.
We're live. Hop in the chat. All right, I just tweeted it out.
Absolutely.
Go tweet it out.
Cadet trials, junior trials, Super 32, Fargo, Cadet Worlds.
I mean, I was saying it before. I was saying it before we started recording, but there's no time of the year that I'm more a consumer of your content than this weekend, because every little detail of what you know, even like in your Junior World Team Trials preview, to have the last year's finals results, those little nuances that you just know. And I made a graphic yesterday because you're like, it's one thing for somebody to get to the finals, but for you, you're like, he just ran through 2024 Junior Open champ. He ran through a two-time Fargo champ, U.S. Open placer at 61. Like, and you don't have to look these things up. The average person like me or anybody else has to look these things up.
That's one of the fun things about doing. You know, really, when it comes down to it, I'm like a data analyst. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, it's results into a spreadsheet, document them, and then you like use that to go do a preview, and then you know it, right? Then I know it. Like, so when I'm tweeting out that this guy did this, it's easy for me to say, yeah, he was second here. He was third. Like, Will Henckel was third, first. You had a lot of that this year. Now, sometimes in juniors, historical results don't mean much. This year it did. For some reason, the last couple of years, we had this same group of heavy hitters that were factors in their first year of juniors, and they're factors in their third year of juniors. Like, you know, Mirasola went 3-3-1. Connor went 2-1-1. Knox last year was second, and then is second in the trials tournament. It kind of played a part of the narrative in that these guys, they were contenders, and now they got on the team. But it is a really good group, and I think I remember last year tweeting. Last year when the team was made last year, I said, "This is a really good team, and they're almost all back." And you know, we took second at Worlds and was something like 120 some points, 125 points, and we returned like 97 of them. And they all made the team. Plus, we got guys, good guys like Henckel, who've been right there. Him getting on the team, Mirasola getting on the team, Cole Mirasola getting on the team. Knox replaces Little Doll. We got a great team.
We do, and before, so first of all, we are live from the Flamingo Room. I'm down
live
in
in the Flamingo Room, Boca Raton, Florida, which is Spanish for mouth of the rat or something.
That's the other side of Florida, but I've been in a pool all day, was watching wrestling from my phone all weekend, and my eyes are bloodshot because I don't know if you've been in a saltwater pool, but my pool at home saltwater, and you can open your eyes underwater, and they don't burn at all. Like, you don't feel anything. It's kind of crazy.
Whoa. You got a saltwater pool in Rochester, New York?
Yeah, it's better. It's better water.
What do you mean it's better water?
Better for your skin. It's better, like, it's easier maintenance.
It is?
It's better than doing chlorine.
So there's no chlorine in your saltwater pool?
No, like a couple times a year I add a bag of salt, and that's it.
What?
And the chlorine comes from, there's a salt cell modular, whatever, that you buy, and it extracts chlorine from the salt.
So why doesn't everybody have a saltwater pool instead of a chlorine pool?
Most people who are starting to put in pools nowadays do. The difference is literally like $1,200. So if you're buying a pool, $1,200 is the difference. Zach's seen the Chaz Willie Democrat. Oh, we're gonna have a fun chat tonight. So yeah, my
Am I
eyes.
Democratic? Why would I be?
I don't
Oh,
know.
so you're saying
Zach
people with,
Zach C in the chat is Willie a Democrat. I don't.
so you're saying that people with chlorine pools are Democrats? That's a
All
connection I
right,
never
so
made.
Willie, before we dive into U20s and U23s, which I've told you this all weekend, I love your takes, and I'm excited to listen to just your takes on this, and I'll chime in too, of course. But we do have a couple of housekeeping notes that we should hit before we dive into that. First of all, I don't think we talked AJ Ferrari on our show.
I don't think we did either. AJ Ferrari, obviously, a very colorful career. Started at Oklahoma State, got in some legal stuff there, then was apparently going to Iowa, didn't work out at Iowa, went to Cal State Bakersfield, took third this year. Back on the market, UNC gave him an offer, a pretty hefty offer from what it sounded like, and all gravy. He was going to UNC until this weekend when the administration kind of, I don't know if they reneged on their word that they were going to allow him in, or whatever the case may be. They said he's not getting admitted. He's not going to get accepted here. He's not admitted into the school. So the backdrop of that was some school newspaper where a girl says nothing more than AJ Ferrari had some serious accusations on him, and I don't think it's very becoming of Rob Cole and the staff to have him on the team. That's basically paraphrasing. That's all that was said. That's all that was said.
It was a lot more colorful than that. But yeah, in theory, I mean, it was. Let's call it what it was. It was a hit piece. In early April, there was a hit piece that was cancel culture. Like 3 years ago, AJ did this. He was charged of this. Like it was a hit piece. It was cancel culture. And my understanding is the UNC coaching staff basically had the administration's blessing to go ahead and recruit AJ. You know, Rob Cole, that staff, they're veterans. They're not going to try to recruit AJ and go through that. AJ was, he took third at NCAAs this year, I think. He was an NCAA champ. Like, he's finished first and third at NCAAs. He has 2 more years left. Like, he's a highly wanted recruit. And they got the okay, go ahead and recruit him. And then, they went through with it. And now, at the last minute, UNC felt some pressure, and they ended up denying him. And they said, we can't let you in. And it seems to me like it was a 100% cancel culture. Like, we're caving to pressure. Again, like, you have to take into... And by the way, there's people who said, like, was this academics? Absolutely not. AJ academically has been great.
That's some narratives, too, and a little confusion. And I don't blame the message boards for being a little confused. Because when the story is one thing. You're going to UNC, and then immediate 180, no, he's not getting into UNC. There's questions on message boards. Did he have another incident? Did he get in trouble? Did he not get in academically? Those kind of things. But as far as I know, nothing changed other than the university's opinion, stance,
And the pressure, and I think AJ's done a good job of, after, it doesn't matter in today's culture, if you're charged with something, whether you're guilty, innocent, charges dropped, whatever, the noise follows you. And AJ's done a good job of tuning out that noise on his social, on other things. But this was...
It's interesting. I've been pretty even keeled about AJ Ferrari's situation. I did not think that it was going to work out well at Iowa. Okay, so I always called it like I see it. I didn't think it was going to work out at Iowa, and it didn't. He had an incident 3 seconds before he was supposed to enroll. I thought AJ needed to be humbled. He needed to rebuild his the confidence that people had in him. I thought he needed to prove that he could get through a year and redeem himself, and not at a mega power, and not at Iowa, where it's under the brightest of spotlights. And frankly, also with Anthony there, right? I thought that was going to be not a great situation. And then he went to Cal State Bakersfield, and he did that. He kept his nose clean. Everybody had their eyes on him, waiting for the other shoe to drop, and he was fine. He got roundly, I don't know if you want to say praised, but the consensus was, yeah, AJ, he might have figured some stuff out. He might have, turned a page and had his emotions in control a little bit more. Now, it comes to UNC. I am not saying that he deserves or does not deserve a place at UNC. If any administration says, you know what, they could say, yeah, he cleaned up his act. He's good. He has a track record now where we'll give him a second chance. They could say that, and I'll accept it. They could say, we don't think the conduct, we don't want to put ourselves in that situation where there was previous conduct that might, not fit our campus and what we want to be about. They could say that, and it could be all good. And I 100%, that's their opinion. Okay, you can find somewhere else to go. What I don't like about what UNC did was they apparently told the staff, yeah, he's going to be good. And then they pulled the rug on him so late.
Correct.
And coupled with the fact that a current allegation is exactly the same happening with a basketball player, and they welcome him with open arms. Mm-hmm. Just listen, if it's a revenue sport, the kid has those charges, that's all right, we'll figure it out. If it's a non-revenue sport, we'll pull the rug on you. That's where I get hung up with.
Yeah, 100%. And, people are wondering, like, okay, so where's he going? First of all, I don't think that the UNC door is shut. I think if the UNC door was shut, we would have heard from AJ. I think if there's a lawsuit of any kind to be held, whether it's with the NIL collective, who he's got to deal with, whether it's UNC, if none of that was in play, I think we would have heard from AJ, if nothing else, in the capacity of, like, my recruitment is open again. And I think AJ would be entertaining offers publicly more so than just privately. And because we're not hearing from AJ, that leads me to believe that that's more attorney advice, like, just don't say anything publicly. Let's work through this. So I don't think that the door is shut, per se. I think there's still a possibility that he wrestles there, whether he tries to sue to get in. Depending on why exactly they denied him, he might be able to push back and say, and again, you don't know how these conversations go between the coaching staff. Why isn't my video up? I don't know why that's, but between the coaching staff and between him, or the AD, who knows? But I think the fact that we haven't heard from AJ is kind of an indicator that the door with UNC might not be shut yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the situation. I don't know if it's closed with UNC. I do know that Rob is trying to facilitate him getting opportunities elsewhere because he feels like he owes it to AJ. Listen, we had this all set up for you. He feels bad about it not going through, right? So he's talking, saying, "Hey, will somebody give him a shot here, here, or here?" I also know that AJ has contacted other schools. Yeah, so AJ's pursuing other options as well. Does that mean that UNC's off the table? I don't know that entirely, but I do know that they're pursuing other things as well. So that's that situation, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up somewhere else this year.
It is
And I won't.
interesting if he ends up elsewhere because of the fact that, we were talking just after the news kind of came out that he got denied admissions, and it's like, it's funny. Iowa State got Elam. Iowa got their guy. Like, the transfer portal, the big hitters got assigned. So it's not like it's early April and people are trying to find their guy. Like, you have that period in the first couple of months or the first couple of weeks of April where everybody's kind of looking for their guy. And a lot of the big players, they got their guy. So it's going to be interesting. I've heard Oklahoma's in the mix. There's a couple other schools that are in play. But it is interesting that, like, all those heavy hitters that initially you would have considered are probably not going to pursue him, given that they got their guy.
Yeah, I heard Oklahoma in the mix too, but I did not hear that. I heard that from other guys like you, I heard that from other media types. I didn't hear that from a coach. I didn't hear that from AJ. I heard it from talking heads, but Oklahoma, I know he reached out to Nebraska. I would imagine that Arizona State is in play because I think they were in play the first go round before UNC. And don't rule him out. Don't rule him out wrestling heavyweight. I think he might go heavyweight. So like what I'm saying is when you're thinking about teams and fits and who needs, don't pigeonhole him as a 97 because I think he is either dabbling with the idea of being heavyweight or is convinced he's going heavyweight.
Yeah,
so
no, I agree. I think
keep in mind.
I think it's at minimum on the table.
Yeah. Another option might be Northern Colorado, but in a kind of a segue, Troy Nickerson is largely rumored to be in the mix in the final running for Army for West Point's job. And the latest on that is there's a handful of coaches that did a virtual interview. I think there was 5 coaches that did a virtual interview. They called there's 2 that I know of that are having an on-campus interview this coming week. I don't know for sure that's Troy Nickerson, but I think he's one of them. Scott Green being the other that I'm sure about. So, I think that Northern Colorado might be a good place for AJ, but if Troy Nickerson is thinking about moving, there's some timeline complications as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, that's
and,
AJ.
Another complication with AJ is that, and it's kind of crazy to me because when AJ was like had accusations and all the dirt was coming out, I was like, he needs to figure out him before he comes back to wrestling. He needs to clean all this up. If he wants another shot in wrestling, he needs to do his part and look inside himself and change things up, even if he even gets off. And he did that. He's kept his nose clean for a while now. And I'm not saying that every program should accept him with open arms. I'm saying if somebody does, at one point in time, I didn't think anybody probably should give him a chance until he proved himself. But I think he did that now. And I don't blame some schools if they do give him a chance. However, despite him being in the predicament that he's in, I think he might be even limiting himself even further because despite his predicament, he's still having demands. Like, I need X amount of dollars. And so it makes it tough. A small pool gets even smaller.
Blake Magnum in the chat asking, how far away did Troy grow up from West Point? He grew up in Binghamton, and then he went to Cornell. So he's like 2 hours-ish away from West Point.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, too, is that Scott Green is from the Binghamton area. He coached what they call the northern tier, the southern tier. I forget what they call that.
Southern tier, yeah.
The southern tier. And he coached around there, and he was really tight with a lot of the great New Yorkers of that area. And he coached a lot of those guys. He was close with Nickerson, okay? And when Scott Green was at Wyoming Seminary, in his office, he had up pictures of Troy Nickerson and his top guys from when he was coaching in high school up there. And then Scott Green went on to be an assistant at Binghamton under Pat Popolizio. So it's interesting to me that you got Troy Nickerson and Scott Green, both very familiar with the state of New York, sort of coach and mentor, or, a mentor and student. And right now, they're the prevailing names for the job. I wonder if they end up being on the staff together because they're obviously kind of buddies,
Do you think if Troy got the head coach position that Green would stay and be associate head coach underneath him?
I talked to Scott like fairly often. That's a question I didn't ask him. I don't know the answer to that question. I think it might be possible with Troy given their relationship, but I don't think if anybody else got the job, I don't think he would do that. He has other options. He has a lot of other quality options. So, but I do think that's in play if it's Troy.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk a little U20s?
Yeah. Do we have any other stuff to get to, but other than the tournament? No, I think that's good. Let's get to Junior World Team Trials. Who is going?
By the way, your note in here that we'll get to when we talk U23s. I love Raw Willie. Your notes in the show docs are so funny. It says, who? This dude is a Key and Peele name.
He is. That's a Key and Peele name. I don't care. But that's not the one I thought you were going to. I thought you were going to where it says U23, who the F makes the team?
No, we were talking about that earlier because I was trying to figure out, like, for the show so we could tell people, like, all right, this guy has a guaranteed spot. This is who, doesn't have a guaranteed spot. And I haven't been able to put that list together. So, but we'll put it together.
Well, I got it now. I got it. I needed a freaking handbook at first. That meme of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where there's strings to this one and that one. But I kind of figured it, piece it together. I still might make a mistake or two. You guys can correct me on, but I think I have a good grasp on it as of now. But let's start with juniors first. Anthony Knox wins the U.S. Open. He's sitting in the finals. Ignacio Villaseñor, cadet world medalist from a few years ago, did not go to the cadet trials last year. This year he goes to the cadet trials again at 55 kilograms and takes fourth. Okay, good tournament. Not going to make the junior finals, right? Well, hold on. He just ripped through a bracket of absolute gangsters, including Nathan Desmond. I don't know. I tweeted it. It's just the path that he went through was absolutely bonkers. And guys that you thought for sure would you would probably pick before him. Let's see. He beat Mac Mauger, who was third at the two-time Fargo champ, who was third at the Open. He beat Seamus Regan, two-time reigning, defending Fargo champ. Regan had beat Revan Dickman, who beat Munaretto back in Ironman. Then Villasenor beats Desmond. Then Villasenor beats Antonio Mills, who was second at Vegas. Just an absolute run. And, he also, by the way, beat Vinny Kilcarry, who won the Junior Open last year.
Crazy.
So he beat, he teched Kilcarry, he teched Mauger, he teched Regan, he beat Desmond 7-7, and then he's blanked Mills 7-0. And he looks amazing, right? Okay, but Knox is going to be too much for him. He goes to the finals. It's 2-1 Knox. 10 seconds to go. Villasenor goes and gets a low single, converts it 3-2 at the buzzer. Holy crap. Villasenor is on a heater. He's going to freaking be a shocker. He's going to shock, and he's going to make this team. Second match, he comes out. Shot. Knox chest wrap. Knox scores a lot of counter points on exposure, and he wins the second match, but you're like, man, I don't know if that's replicable. Like, I feel like Anthony Knox is the better guy, but he's not moving like the better guy. His body language isn't the better guy. Villasenor is taking it to him. He's getting in all the scoring positions. It's just Knox with these cheap freestyle counterpoints. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm actually texting with Kylie Gray, the wife of Mike Gray from Cornell. And we're like, man, Anthony doesn't look right. And I'm like, Kylie, you know what? It looks like he's in his own head. It looks like he's trying to figure out something in real time. And she's like, well, he better, because I know he's better than that. And then he came out third match and looked like the Anthony Knox we all know. And, nothing against Villasenor, nothing against Nacho, because he is on fire, and there was nothing fluky about what he did. You can't make a run like that without being the dude. But I feel like Anthony is the better rep this year, the better guy. I feel like Anthony probably wrestled as bad as he could and still won. And there's plenty of times to correct the little things and get him in the right space before they go to Bulgaria.
Did you think after that first match, we were kind of talking about, because I'm curious what your thoughts were with after that first match, if you thought he was going to be able to beat Knox again. And also, Corby brought it up when we did the show about the Junior World Team Trials, like the advantage of the same day, sitting in the finals, best of three finals. And, sometimes some wrestlers have said that they'll always take sitting out, but they don't mind sometimes blowing their lungs out, having a few matches. This was a little different. Like, this wasn't just having a match or two. Like, he wrestled, 5 matches to win the challenge tournament, and then best of three. So a bit more than blowing your lungs out, but
against gangsters too. But so when I saw that, I thought that was Exhibit A of the downside. Now, I could be wrong, but when it's happening in front of you, I thought it was Exhibit A of the downside of sitting out. You got this guy that's on a heater. His confidence is sky high. His motor's running. His lungs are blown out. He's in rhythm. And here you have Anthony Knox, who scores a ton of points typically, scoring just 2 points and gets caught flat-footed with 10 seconds to go. I thought that was one where it was like almost showed the advantage of a guy being his train is on that track all day long while somebody's on ice sitting over here. Now that could be true. It could be. It could not be, but that's what it appeared to be.
It's also like there were a couple matches where the guy dropped the first one, Knox dropped it, and then 1-2 straight. McEnelly dropped the first one and then 1-2 straight. For the most part, though, and we'll kind of talk about it as we go through, but we were talking, I think we were talking about Jayden James in the semis and in the challenge tournament, how good he looked. And Feller was saying, I'm not sure, honestly, that anybody who's winning the challenge tournament is going to win the best of 3 finals. And you only end up having, what, one? I think Blaze was the only one, and he's a returning world teamer. I don't think anybody else who didn't sit out to the best of 3 finals won.
Well, and I've been arguing with the Penn State guys. A couple years ago, I was arguing with the Oklahoma State guys on their boards about the trials process being fine. It's fine. The U23 thing is fine. And there's an argument. Well, why should somebody sit in the junior finals when somebody else has to go through the whole bracket? Because I don't know if you checked, but last month in Vegas, they had to go through the whole bracket. Mm-hmm. They didn't just land in the finals. They earned it last month, where anybody else could have done that. All right? Marcus Blaze just did it the hard way. So guess what? 9 out of 10 guys proving the right guys sit in the finals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, literally, and, Blaze obviously kind of an outlier for that when you talk about guys who didn't sit out making the finals. I mean, Blaze didn't wrestle at the Open. He wrestled seniors. So, kind of an anomaly there.
Yeah, and to me, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. You choose your path. And another thing they're saying on the Penn State message boards now is about the U23 team and that process. And somebody said...
Why the Penn State boards? I mean, Penn State, I think there's 7 kids who can make the team if they want it, not from this weekend.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that when we get to U23. Right. But when we're talking about U20, it's you have your options. You have your options. Everybody knows the rules going in. USA Wrestling sets the criteria. It's been the same criteria for a couple of years now. Well, only 3, but we've known this is the path. And Marcus has the when I say Marcus, Bo Bassett, Aiden Valencia, Jax Forrest, Luke Lillidahl. These guys all know the stakes, the consequences of the path. If Marcus goes and does a different level and then chooses to go the junior route, he will not sit in the finals and he'll have to go through the mini bracket. Marcus said, fine, I'll do that. And he did it. So why the fans are all crying about the process is beyond me, because everybody knew their path. Everybody picked their path. Everybody got what they earned.
Yeah.
So, where we at? 61?
Yeah, let's talk Marcus Blaze. Larkin,
61
kilos.
Marcus Blaze. Yeah, Blaze just dominated through a really good run, a really good mini bracket, and then got to Larkin, who had won the Open over Sam Herring. And Blaze dominated the first match, and I thought that Kyler Blaze definitely won the second match, right? I mean, there was a gap there. But what I liked is that Kyler didn't back down. Kyler's physicality was there. I really earned a lot of respect for Kyler in that match.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Blaze, Blaze is eligible to be on the U23 team at 65 kilograms. However, it sounds as if currently, the Penn State staff prefers Marcus to wrestle juniors and to wrestle 61.
Although he will be wrestling at Final X, at 65 kilos against Brock Hardy in 2 weeks.
It's possible that Marcus wrestles both. It's possible he wrestles junior 61, U23 65. But I'm told that they prefer him wrestle 61 juniors.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to 65. The story here, Luke Stanich beat Bo Bassett in Vegas. counter takedowns, counter scores for Stanic in that one. Here at the trials, a couple of wrinkles. Aiden Valencia's back in the mix. Stanic this time sits in the finals. And a really tough bracket with Sergio Vega, Daniel Zepeda, a couple others I'm forgetting, but the key bout prior to the finals was Bassett and Aiden Valencia, and a score awarded to Bo that just frankly was an atrocious call.
Yeah, I missed that being on my flight, and you
Aiden
very
Valencia,
quickly.
Bo Bassett kind of takes a shot. Aiden Valencia kind of reshoots. Bo tries to turn the corner. Aiden Valencia's on his chest, on the mat, with Bo Bassett's leg, and Bo Bassett's behind the arms, but his leg is clearly on the mat. It wasn't even a folk style takedown. In freestyle, they are adamant that you have to be behind, you have to have passed all the way behind cleanly. They are adamant about that. This was nothing close to that. And Sammy Julian, perhaps the best referee on the planet, is the whistle on this. And he offers 2, and I'm like, no way. I'm like, no way this is going to get called. What do you know? 2 and 2. It gets confirmed. And I go, 3 people lost their minds in real time. They're going to review this, and it's going to be overturned. They review it. They upheld it. Listen, I'm not rooting for anybody. That is just simply not a takedown. How it gets called on the mat, I have no idea. How it gets reviewed and upheld, I have no idea. The only thing, and I tweeted this, the only thing I could come up with was that internationally, they have this kind of stupid protocol where they say, offer this up as a possibility, and the judge in the chair will break the tie. So offer something up as a possibility, and the judge in the chair will make it best of 3. Well, first of all, it's stupid because if it's not there, it's not there. Don't even give them the option to make the mistake. You're setting them up for failure. Because if the number 1 referee in the world goes 2, you think the judge in the chair want to overrule him? So even offering it up is a mistake. But now, the problem, that's what I tweeted. However, in retrospect, the problem with that theory is that it doesn't explain the review. How do you rewatch that and say, yeah, we got that right?
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just simply a bad call. And, man, Aiden Valencia, whether he gives up a takedown at the end or an exposure at the end, or he just keeps coming up short in these critical moments. Whether it's a bad call, it's like he's snake bit, man. But Bo gets the win and moves on to Stanic. Now, in the final,
real quick about the challenge tournament. Pearson Manville looked awesome. That 8-6 win over Sergio Vega, and then coming back for 3rd, and I think he take 2nd or 3rd on the Greco side too. That dude just loves to scrap.
Am I good now? Am I?
What
you guys got me? I don't know. I see in the chat people are.
Yeah, the chat. YouTube's having issues or something. YouTube keeps like kicking the stream. I'm trying to fire it back up, but we're still recording, so we're good. But
okay.
I don't know what's happening with YouTube.
All right. But yeah, there was, we're focusing on the winners in the finals mostly, but there were a lot of really good performances. I mean, there were 3 cadets that really did damage when you consider Villasenor was 4th at the cadet trials and made the junior finals through the mini bracket. Paul Kenny, who has been 1st, 3rd, 2nd at the cadet trials. He wrestled cadets this year. He was 3rd in juniors. That's it. So the 2nd and 3rd place finishers at 57 were high school sophomores. And then Jayden James made the finals.
Yep.
So really good performances out of Young Bucks. But yeah, and there were some sneaky backside performances too. Pearson Manville, I thought, looked really strong, and they need him. They're counting on him for this year. All right, finals at 65. Stanich and Bassett. Bassett returning junior world teamer, junior world bronze medalist. Stanich got him at the Open. Let's see how it goes again. What adjustments will either guy make? In Vegas, it was Bo Bassett shooting and Stanich countering. First match, remind me again, was it Stanich won match 1?
Stanich won 3-2, then Bassett
3-2,
won 3-2.
then Bassett won 3-2. And I think
and then Stanich opened it up.
Stanich got the first takedown in that first match. Second match, Bo, I believe, gets it in the second period. He takes it 3-2. So we have 2 3-2 matches. Third match, Luke Stanich just, wow. I mean, he just really, he wrestled kind of the way Bo did, just kept putting on pressure and kept putting on points. And I don't know if Bo was frustrated or exhausted. I mean, this is one where you could make a case where, I don't know. I don't know if a switch flipped in Stanich and said, I'm seizing the moment and I'm leaving no doubt and I'm going and getting this. But something switched.
Yeah.
Because it went from, you saw this 3 matches in a row. Vegas, super tight match. Round 1, super tight match. Round 2, super tight match. This one, Stanich 10-0. And was it Bo being frustrated? Was it Stanich seizing the moment? Was it Bo exhausted from going through the mini bracket? I don't know, but it was a wide margin in match 3.
Yeah, and for Bo to get tech 10-0, I feel like that doesn't happen that often. Like, Stanich absolutely brought it that match.
Yeah, and contrary to the previous matches, it was Stanich had both offense and counters. Stanich looked good in all aspects.
Yeah.
Now, I often look through who makes the team at every level, whether it's cadets or juniors or seniors, U23, whatever, and say, sometimes a guy wins, and deservedly so. Stanich left no doubt. And who is actually the better rep? Now, I am not saying, hold on. Don't say Willie was on the show and said Bo Bassett's a better rep than Stanich. I am not saying that. All I am saying is Bo been to the Junior Worlds before. He medaled at, when he won Cadet Worlds. He medaled at Junior Worlds. All I'm saying is this. Guess how many freestyle tournaments Luke Stanich has wrestled in his life?
2.
That was his 5th freestyle tournament ever, and I think 2 of them were like little dinky things, like Northeast Regionals or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't remember him wrestling in that match. I don't follow as closely as you do, but I feel like I haven't heard his name too often.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't wrestle freestyle last year, right?
Not one tournament. He didn't wrestle a freestyle tournament at all last year. He wrestled Fargo one year where it was a very controversial final with Mason Gibson. He lost in the finals. And then he wrestled Vegas this year. And I think the year he went to Fargo, he wrestled Northeast Regionals. So that's 3. This would be the 4th that I know about. Apparently, according to Zach Ray, there was a 5th one in there somewhere. But, I mean, very limited reps for Luke Stanich. Now, ability-wise, at least in neutral, ability-wise, he looks great. He looks fantastic. And so I think he's good size. And so I'm optimistic. That being said, we haven't really seen him, we haven't seen him in freestyle a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah. So, this is one of those things where, like, if he doesn't do good at Worlds, you're going to have the Monday morning quarterback in, like, see, we should have had Bo, or we should have had this. But that's usually more so Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah, 70 kilograms. PJ Duke is back on the team. He was bronze medalist last year. The story of the mini bracket really was Landon Robideau beating Melvin Miller in a big showdown. That was 3-1 or 3-2. Melvin, Landon did a really good job pressuring forward, dictate. I mean, Landon wasn't like tearing Melvin up by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a very controlled 3-1, 3-2 match where Robideau did a really good job of pressuring in positions, and then Melvin had a chance at the end but came up a bit short. So, and then Robideau to the finals, and it was all Duke in the finals. PJ Duke back on the junior team for the 2nd straight year, and also in Final X, and also U23 eligible in play there for PJ Duke.
Yeah, PJ Duke, I mean, 2 dominant finals, 7-0, then 9-4. It wasn't even close. Like that kid is just such a stud. Him and Yanni's going to be so fun in 2 weeks.
Very interesting. Whatever happens between Yanni and PJ, and I have no real. I mean, my prediction is Yanni because he's more seasoned, older, bigger. But any whatever way it goes down, whether Yanni texts him twice or PJ texts Yanni twice, whatever, and anything in between, everything to me is data. It's like fascinating to see what is going to happen and to get a feel of where they're both at in their career. And obviously PJ's just graduating high school. And so where he is at in his career is he's a pup. And so he could be the next big thing, or he could be, clearly behind Yanni for a year or two,
Is it too early at this point in the U20 finals, U20 tournament, U20 World Team review to start mentioning that every other weight on the junior world team is Penn State?
We're going to get to that. The numbers, and people will say we're glazing Penn State or anything, but it's just data. It's just statistics. It's facts. If you want us to avoid facts so that you can not like Penn State, I don't know, that's not going to happen. Go cry about it. All right, 74. The story here really was Jayden James, pup. The kid's only 16 years old. Just a prodigy, and he goes through Joe Seeley, cadet world champ. Seeley knocking on the door of the junior trials for a couple years. And Seeley, Jayden just no problem with strength or physicality or skill level. He tore through the bracket. Tex Seeley. Who else did he beat in the mini bracket?
He beat Seeley 10-0, who then went on to kind of easily take third. I mean, and then on the backside, Seeley had a 12-2 tech and then an 8-1 win for third. I mean, It's kind of crazy, the Nittany line on Nittany line crime there. But, yeah, Jayden James, and I was texting you guys, like, Jayden James looked so good, and I'm like, do you guys think he can take out Lockett? Like, Lockett's kind of got some age on him here, and Obviously,
Yeah,
Lockett's
yeah.
proved that he's
And
a leg up, but
we got to mention Will Denny here because nobody talks about this kid. I'm probably guilty as well of not talking enough about Will Denny. But Will Denny went through Super 32 last year, and there were two returning champs. There were two of last year's champs in the bracket, Colin Rath and Melvin Miller, and Will Denny beat them back to back.
yeah.
And then he comes here and he beats Zach Hansen, who won Fargo twice, and he beats Alessio Parrington by tech to make the finals, and Jayden beats him 10-8. Jayden had a big lead, 8-2, 10-2, 8, something like that. And the final was 10-8. Jayden gave up some points late, but I wanted to give props to Will Denny going to NC State this year. He is a dude.
He's a dog. Yeah.
He's a dude. So now heading to the finals, I did think that D would be too much to handle for Jayden. In two respects, D's much older, much bigger. D is like cutting to 63. Maybe not too much, but he's losing a few pounds to get to 63. Jayden is up from 71 kilograms where he made the cadet team a month ago. So, and plus, Jayden has not wrestled a whole heck of a lot of freestyle. I mean, you think he has because he won Fargo twice, but Jayden won his freestyle wins. His frankly have been just on being a better wrestler. He's not near as freestyle seasoned as some of these guys, which is even more impressive, right? Because you talk about some of these guys and all the freestyle reps they have. Jayden went to like Vegas twice and Fargo twice. That's all he's ever done. I mean, he don't have double digit freestyle tournaments under his belt the way some of these guys do. And so D being bigger, being more reps, being very, very skilled, I thought it was going to be a tough task for Jayden. But just like the way I was saying about Kyler Larkin hanging in there with Marcus, I think Jayden James checked all the boxes this weekend. He beat guys, frankly, he wasn't supposed to beat. He stood toe-to-toe with older, bigger, stronger guys. Jayden James, a phenom, and you really have to start asking the question, and I said it on a previous show, that I was a little bit chicken shit, and all these years I've always wanted to claim Jayden James as number one, and I never had really the balls to do it. And I think it's clearly time that we start putting Jayden James in the conversation with the Bo Bassett's and the Jack Sparks. I really think that highly of him.
Let me ask you. Now, Jayden James just made the cadet world team back in April. Do you think any other cadet world teamer would have made it to the best of three finals this weekend?
Well, Villasenor did.
That's true. That's two.
But Villasenor is a cadet that did, but didn't make the world team. Cadet. Do I think let's see who the cadet team is this year. I don't know how many cadets would ever make. I don't think I would ever pick a cadet to make the finals the way.
Like, you kind of lose sight of the fact that when you're watching James wrestle this weekend that he's only 16 years old.
He's 16. Which is another weird thing to compare when, like, Jayden is a super young senior, 16-year-old going to a senior year, where like Bo and Jax and frankly half the top 20 big on the big board, they're all on the older end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that half of our junior world team was world teamers last year.
I don't know. I'm looking back at old cadet world teams, thinking of somebody that could have made a final in juniors the year they did. Maybe Marcus Blaze. I wonder who made 2023. Marcus Blaze won 55 kilograms. The junior in 2023 that made the team had to be Luke, right? Yeah, it was Luke, and Luke went on to world silver at junior level. I don't know. As a blanket statement, I don't think I would ever pick a cadet world teamer to do much damage in juniors. It's just
to win the challenge tournament and then make it to the best of 3 finals.
Okay, here's one. 2021 Meyer Shapiro, 65 kilograms, and he went on to win world gold. The junior in 2021 at 65 kilograms was Bo Bartlett. In 2020, could Meyer beat Bo Bartlett? I don't know.
I was going to say, speaking of Meyer, he was supposed to wrestle this weekend, and then he didn't. Did you have any insight as to why or what happened there?
No. Actually, another coach, like a coach of another program a couple months ago said, "Hey, is Meyer wrestling in Geneva?" I said, "I don't know." And so I asked the Cornell guys, and they said tentative. Like they're not sure yet. So I don't know. You know, Meyer had a really weird year with being in the hospital and such.
Yeah.
All right, 79, Will Henckel. There wasn't much going on in the mini bracket. Henckel beat Brock Mantanona in the finals of the Open. Brock Mantanona goes through the mini bracket here, and then beats Mantanona in 2. Henckel beats Mantanona in 2, relatively soundly. And there's not much to talk about the details of the bracket, the details of the head-to-head wins in the finals. The question sort of became on Penn State's message boards, did Willie lowball Henckel? Was he much too low at 18 on the big board? I don't know. What do you think? I think it might be a touch low. I feel like if you think he's a top 10 guy, you don't get much argument from me.
I also feel like they weren't saying that before this weekend. Like, it's easy to say that after you go out and have a great junior world team trials. I fwill like it's very easy to say, like, hey, this guy probably should have been higher. Like, I don't know.
That's what I said too. I mean, my response was Will Henckel is a great talent. He's a really hard worker. I really like, I take more away from guys when they lose than when they win.
Yeah.
Like, my opinion of Henckel probably was at its highest when I saw him lose to Zach Ryder last year at the Open. He competed tough as hell. He made it hard as hell on Zach Ryder. He frustrated the hell out of him. Go back and watch that match, and you can see Ryder getting chippy. Ryder was getting really chippy at the end of that match. And I got that way too. Wrestlers get that way. When you're the favorite and the young buck makes it difficult on you, you get a little chippy. But Henckel didn't back down. He fought. And so a lot of times I take away things in a loss more than I take away in a win. And Henckel's a very good prospect. He lost to Burton in Fargo finals. He returned the favor to Burton at Beast of the East. He was in a knockdown drag-out match. I mean, Asher Cunningham was up on him in Ironman. Asher Cunningham was up like 10-2 over Henckel. And Henckel came storming back and won 15-13. And somebody said, well, he's been on a run this spring. He's been on a run this spring at the Open, at here. And my response was, dude, Will Henckel was that dude in junior high. When he was coming out, I'm like, I mean, he's right there with the Bassetts and the Forrest. I mean, he killed everybody in junior high. And then he got in his freshman year, 145, toughest schedule in the country. He did great. So he's always been that tier. It's not like he jumped the level. My response is that I don't think it's a revelation that he beats Brock Mantanona.
No, but I do think, like, Brock won 10-0, 10-7, 13-8. So he's scoring points, right? He's scoring double-digit points in all three of his matches. And then here Henckel comes and just beats him 20-0 in 2 straight matches. Like, that is pretty damn impressive.
Certainly. Yeah, like I said, and that's, again, he made Ryder work hard for points.
Yeah.
Right? Ryder, who is a couple-time world medalist. So, yeah, 18, you want to say Willie, you goofed that up. He should be 9th. I'm okay with it. Let's get to McEnelly Sinclair. What a run these two guys have been on. Similar like Rademacher and McDaniel. For the last 3 years, McEnelly Sinclair bar. McEnelly Sinclair again. Last year at the Open, Barr beats McEnelly, but Sinclair beats Barr in the finals. They go to trials. Sinclair beats McEnelly. Barr beats McEnelly. Barr beats Sinclair. This year, McEnelly beats Sinclair at the Open on a buzzer beater on what many people thought was a bad stoppage, a bad restart. They come out here. It goes to 3, and the entire series, and it got like progressively more pronounced as the series went on. It was McEnelly shot, Sinclair counters, and I don't know what the hell Sinclair is made of, but I've never seen anything like it. Sinclair shoots, low single on Sinclair on his butt. He chest wraps, and he simply takes his leg back. Like, that's not supposed to happen. People don't do that. I don't know how Sinclair is able to get his hips back and his legs back. But it happened over and over again. And it was, this looked like it was on replay. McEnelly low shot. Now the match starts. Is it going to be a Sinclair counter, or is McEnelly going to get the takedown? And ultimately, late in the second period of the third match, McEnelly gets the takedown, and he wins 3 matches to 2.
Yeah, after that first one, watching Sinclair win 10-2, I'm like, wow, Sinclair's going to do it. He's going to dethrone the guy sitting in the finals. Like, and then Max, all the credit to him. Like, similar to Knox, like, after that first one, you're honestly probably thinking something different is going to be the outcome after Sinclair gets a 10-2 win. And then, I feel like it takes a lot to come out and win 2 close ones. 6-5 and 3-2. It's not like Max ran away with it, where you kind of saw that with Knox. Like, by the third match, Knox dominated and got the tech. This was 3 dog fights, and like Max won the second one 6-5 and then 3-2. Like, Sinclair is right there. Like, that dude is such a competitor.
Yeah. It's on one hand, when you're constantly, I don't know, this is how I look at wrestling through this lens. What they do, who they are. I'm constantly evaluating what they are, what they do well, what they don't do well, what I would like to see them do, what I would like to see them stop doing. And when I look at this series with McEnelly and what Sinclair did, what Sinclair didn't do was he didn't shoot. He didn't shoot ever. And so, like, the one offensive score he did have was an arm drag, which is not like, that's not really like a shot, right? It's like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, there's not much danger. He didn't take leg attacks. And so, as evaluating him and where he's at in his wrestling, I'm like, man, I'd like to see him take more leg attacks. I don't know how sustainable it is to constantly win matches on counters. That being said, in a series to determine the world spot, you do what works, right? So it's tough for me to say he shouldn't have done that. Just that going forward, I'm watching to see how offensive he is, because I think he's going to need offense to beat the elite guys. And I'm saying this in a folk style aspect.
Yeah,
92, totally. Connor Mirasola, who was 5th in the world last year, makes the team yet again. He's another guy on the young end of the spectrum when you talk about the age cutoffs for these. Now, I mean, he's not young in the sense that this is his second or third try at the junior level. What I'm saying is he is on the young end of his graduating year. Like his birthday is like December 28th or something like that. But he makes his second team. It's a third time he's been in contention to make the junior team. Second time on the world team, and he beats Dylan Bechtold, who came through a solid bracket, beating Tucker Hogan and I think Sasso.
And then
Merrill, yes, he beat Merrill late. Yup, that's the one. That was the big one, Merrill. But sort of in the same vein as Will Henckel, to me, it really wasn't what Mirasola did. Like, Henckel wasn't surprising, and Henckel won like I thought Henckel would win. Mirasola didn't surprise. He won, and he dominated the way I thought he would. The question to me is, outside of this tournament, where does he fit in to the Penn State lineup right now?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, if you haven't listened to them, I had Barr on and I had Levi Haynes both on over the past month or so, talking about the competition in the room and how they view it, and the iron sharpens iron philosophy versus knowing these guys are coming for their spot. So it's very interesting. I definitely want to have Connor and Cole both on soon, because I think it'll be interesting to hear from them. You've got Barr and Levi who made the team. I think it's also going to, I want to have Connor on. I want to have Cole on. I think they have interesting perspectives with, Connor battling, trying to fight. Connor has to be a returning national finalist to make the team. It's like Penn State is much like the United States World Team. Right.
At one or two
crazy. Ways. So I want to have Connor on soon. I've talked to them. We'll probably have them on soon. Crazy, though. Crazy the depth that Penn State has.
His father is one of the best.
John's
He's one
the
of the
best.
One of the best in the game.
Shout out, John.
Yeah, he's awesome. Okay, 92, Rademacher meets McDaniel. Just like I said about McEnelly, Sinclair,
97.
This is 97. McDaniel made the team 2 years ago as a first-year junior. And medaled. Second year, he wins Vegas, sits in the finals. Rademacher comes through the mini bracket, beats him. This year, Rademacher beats McDaniel at the open finals by a point. McDaniel comes through the mini bracket. Rademacher wins again. And Rademacher is just a freaking horse. That dude, I don't know if you ever seen him up close. That dude is a horse. He is a monster. And I just I look for a really strong year out of him at Oregon State.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's an understatement. Dude's a stud.
Now, 125 kilograms heavyweight. We've talked about so much great competition. And yet this might have been the most loaded bracket, with Cole Mirasola sitting in the finals, Drayshawn Ross, Kobe Merrill, Michael Mako, and on down the line. And it did not disappoint. Coy Hopke in there. I thought this was an excellent bracket. Let's tell you, and this is one that you want to go through the mini bracket for sure. Drayshawn Ross, beat Merrill after Kobe Merrill teched Rocco Delgado, last year's Fargo champ. Drayshawn Ross edged Merrill 2-2. Mako beat Bechtold in a rematch of last year's Cadet World Team Trials finals and a rematch of Super 32 finals. Mako beat Bechtold 9-5. Then Mako lost to Coy Hopke 9-6. So we get a Drayshawn Ross Coy Hopke matchup in the finals, and it was all Drayshawn 10-0 there. Kobe Merrill beating Mako in the third place bout. And then I didn't really know what to expect in the finals. I thought that Drayshawn would be more of a threat. Cole was very cool, calm, and collected. And at this stage, he won matches 4-1 and 5-2 over Drayshawn. And similar to the Open, where he kind of controlled space and controlled positioning against Mako, just a very controlled kind of dominance.
Yeah, and I said it after the Open that I understand Drayshawn is the younger guy and Cole's the more established guy here. But I still think, going back to what I said at the Open, at the end of the college season, Penn State fans, you lose Kirk, and you're like, what can Mirasola do? Can Cole Mirasola be the heavyweight? And over the last month and a half, if you're a Penn State fan wondering, can you be disappointed at all with what you've seen so far? Like, you have to be optimistic that, it's like, is Cole a little undersized? Is Cole this? Is that? Is he the guy at heavyweight? Will Penn State try to bring someone into the portal? Whatever. Like, I don't know. This kind of reinforces what I said after the Open, that Cole Mirasola is doing everything he should be doing. And you can say that he's the favorite, he's the older guy, he's the more experienced guy. You can say that, but also he still went out and did it.
Well, like I said, they are on the younger end of the junior spectrum. So,
yeah,
as you can say he's older, and he's certainly, older than Drayshawn and Mako, but
older too. Like, even age aside, like, Cole's been in the Penn State room for a year. These other guys are still in high school.
Well, the way I look at it is, though, I'll put my hand up. I'll put my hand up and say I have concerns. I have concerns about the size. What college heavyweights? There's going to be college heavyweights that are 265, and Cole is what's Cole weighing in at? 205, 210? I don't know. If the scenario wasn't that Penn State needs him at heavyweight, if the scenario wasn't that they have Cole Mirasola and Josh Barr and Rocco Welsh, if that wasn't the scenario, if Cole was at Nebraska or Iowa or Michigan, he very well could be an 84-pounder. I mean,
yeah,
he's on full feed trying to get bigger, and wrestling up and still winning the most prestigious tournaments in the country.
Yeah.
So there is every mark that goes in the last couple months has been okay, Cole. All right, Penn State fans, we got something here, right? There's a reason for optimism. I just worry about two things. If I'm a Penn State fan, I worry about two things. One, size, especially early on. And two, an injury. If Cole Mirasola gets hurt, Penn State's basically forfeiting heavyweight, right? I mean, unless they move Connor up or something.
Yeah, I will say, though, in the upper weights, I'm trying to think, like, for the most part, at the heavyweights, upper weights, like, Penn State has done a pretty good job of anytime there's a question with, will this guy be big enough? It seems to work out. There was questions with Levi this year. How will he do coming up two weights? Back into the NCAA.
Yeah,
third.
I know.
But even, like, imagine last year at this time saying Barr was going to go up to 97. Like,
I thought he was too small. I 100% thought he was too small. Yeah. That being said, he is literally weighing in at 125 kilograms at like 100 kilograms.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think we're a ways away. It's still only, June 1st? Like, there's time by, 6 months.
We got to get him Kasich cuts.
Kasich beef. He's got to get a cow. That's a
Got to get a
bargain.
half cow.
Got to get
Tell
a half
John
cow.
Mirasola I'll buy a half cow. Actually, for the boy, I might have to buy a whole
John's
cow.
A big dude.
One for each at Mirasola. I think that John could carry like a side of beef by himself.
I sent John a Basch Solutions t-shirt or hoodie. He's like a 3X. So it runs in the family. Those kids are big dudes. They got big genes. They'll be getting up to weight. Don't you worry about those boys.
Well, we got a really great junior world team. Not just in our estimation, not just by our red, white, and blue colored glasses, but by the proof in the pudding. We got Anthony Knox, who was knocking on the door of a world team last year. We got Marcus Blaze, a returning medalist. We got Luke Stanich, who beat a returning medalist. We got PJ Duke, who's a returning medalist. We got Lockett, who's a returning medalist. We got Henckel, who has been 3-3-1 at trials. We got McEnelly, who has won a cadet world medal. We got Connor Mirasola, who wrestled for a medal last year. Rademacher won a medal. And Mirasola, who has been knocking on the door of a world team. So we got a lot of returning points, a lot of proven guys, and the guys that aren't proven on the world stage have been right there behind our ones the last couple of years. Excellent team heading to
Bulgaria.
And now we're going to get into the U23. And 3 months ago, when everybody's bitching about Penn State, what did the brain tell you?
I didn't want to bring this up, if I'm being honest, because I already get enough crap about I'm glazing Penn State. I don't want to start getting comments that I'm glazing Willie now, but I've said it a couple times. Like, you said in regards to the national duels that Penn State's going to have guys on world teams left and right come October, November, come the fall. And sure enough, it's slowly playing out where when it comes to the U23 team, we've got only 3 guys who won this weekend at U23s, 86, 97, and heavyweight, are guaranteed the U23 spot. And then you have the other 6 of the 7 other guys who can take the spot are 6 Penn State guys and then Jack's Forest, Oklahoma State.
Right? So you got 5 guys on the junior world team. Duke, Henckel, Mirasola, Blaze. Okay? You got 5 guys on the junior world team. 3 of them are incoming freshmen. And then when you look at the U23 team and or Final X, what'd you say, 6? Because I got 7.
6 are Penn State. 7 overall that can take the spot. 6 are Penn State, 1 Oklahoma State.
Right. So Luke, PJ again. Mesenbrink could. Levi could. Welsh is. Josh Barr could. All right. All these guys could be wrestling at Worlds in October.
Blaze too incoming.
Right, so they got 5 on the junior team. They could have 5, 6, 7 on the U23 team. They could have a couple on the senior team.
They got 7 at Final X. I know WC has 7 guys at Final X.
And remember what somebody just told me. Somebody just told me that the staff would prefer Marcus Blaze to wrestle at juniors. Somebody just told me that. That's why Marcus came to Geneva. That's why he wrestled this weekend. What does that tell you? That tells you they want him to wrestle at Worlds sooner. Because check the calendar. Juniors are first. They want Marcus to wrestle juniors so that he's back transitioning to folk style to get ready for this season in folk. Okay? So this isn't some mythical thing that Penn State just doesn't want to go to national duels. It is legit that it doesn't jive with the training cycle.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that, Justin Basch.
Yeah, I don't. Do you know the date of when these guys have to declare if they want the U23 spot? I'll probably look it up and tweet it. But do you know it offhand?
I don't know what the Declaration of Independence, I think, was signed on July 4th.
We're just about a month out from that.
Yeah, I don't know when they do declare.
I do declare.
I do declare.
U23.
All right, U23s real quick. While you're tweeting or while you're looking that up, I will talk a little bit about U23s, which was, it kind of takes a backstage to the juniors. One, because frankly, the field isn't as deep and as star-studded, and two, because it doesn't directly mean you're on a team. But a really good performance at 57 kilograms by Mason Ziegler, whose father I wrestled with, District 11 guy right down the street. Really good kid, really solid high school career. A Lehigh guy.
I wouldn't say that. That kind of ages yourself. You're saying your teammates got kids wrestling U23s. Don't age yourself like that on this podcast.
We're in our 40s. We're in our 40s. What do you think?
Where? You and him, maybe. I'm still hanging on to my 30s.
So Ziegler wins. Really solid bracket. And he will be our U23 rep if Luke Lillidahl decides it doesn't want to wrestle at U23s. It will be Mason Ziegler. Ziegler over Guanajuato from South Dakota State. 61, Nick Bouzakis. If Jax Forrest either makes the team on seniors or just simply does not want to wrestle U23s, Nick Bouzakis quietly would be his 5th world team. It would be his 4th in freestyle, and he made one in Greco a couple years ago. Vince Cornella, who was injured almost all of last year, beats CJ Composto on his route to a title at 65, and I believe that is Marcus Blaze. It's his spot to give up, I believe.
Yes, correct.
Is that correct? So if Marcus wants the U23 spot as well as the U20 spot, he gets it. If not, it'll be Vince Cornella. At 70, Josh Edmond of Missouri beat Drew Roberts. It was really nice to see Drew Roberts have a lot of success this weekend. A really great tournament, makes the finals. Drew Roberts, the son of Kevin Roberts, old Oregon wrestler, Oregon coach, Oregon State coach. Had a good high school career. Had a rough year this year in the starting lineup of 49 for Minnesota. So it was really good to see him getting some wins under his belt. Strong performance by him. Now, Josh Edmond wins. He gets the world team spot if PJ declines. Yep. PJ is in a position to win all 3 spots.
Yeah, in talking to KD, I think he may want all 3.
That's insane. 74, Caliendo in 3 over Cardenas. Cardenas won the middle match. Now, Caliendo will have the U23 spot if Mesenbrink turns it down.
By the way, shout out Caliendo, because you were saying, like, where are the Hawkeyes? Where are the Hawkeyes? Yeah. And Caliendo's one of their lone dogs out there competing.
Well, they also had they did have an Endine this weekend too. Who?
Yeah, they had a few. They had like 6 or 7 guys. The Hawkeye Wrestling Club overall,
but not
more
many,
so.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and, I mean they had what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
right. Not
7,
a lot
8.
of their A guys.
Yeah.
At 79, Bo Mantanona beats Ruiz. He will have. Oh, did he beat Ruiz in the finals? I feel like
he did.
Okay.
Teched him and then beat him 8-2.
He will have the U23 spot if and only if Levi turns it down. I believe Levi is still U23 eligible, correct? I mean, he's young.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So almost all these are dependent upon somebody turning the spot down, and almost all those are dependent upon a Penn State guy turning it down. At 86, this one is a done deal, though. Welsh beat Jackson Smith. That's why I got confused. Bowman Tanona beat Nico Ruiz. Welsh beat Simon Ruiz and Jackson Smith to win the spot at 86. I thought Welsh looked a whole lot. I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked much more offensive than he did in the recent past. I thought Welsh looked good and big and full size, and he does have the spot because at 86, it's Zahid and Dake who are out of U23 eligibility. So, is that right? Is it Welsh's spot?
It is Rocco's spot, and I agree that he looked great. I mean, he won those first 4 matches heading to the finals 33-0. So he put up points and he didn't allow anybody to score any. And then, he won 4-2 and 6-3. But yeah, Rocco's one of 3 guys who have the spot. 97 and heavyweight being the other 2 that are guaranteed from this weekend.
92, my guy Gavin Nelson over Geog in 3. Gavin wrestled for a medal a couple years ago at the Cadet World Team Trials. Talk about a great dad. His father's an awesome guy. He gets the spot if Josh Barr turns it down. Another Penn State guy has to turn down. And if he does, Gavin Nelson is your U23 World Teamer. 97 is some dude who I never heard of. That doesn't happen often. I never heard of this dude.
The show notes specifically said, Willie's got all of his notes, U23, who the F makes the team, and he's got notes for all the weights. Also, you put in the notes, by the way, a lot of Chatter Cardenas will transfer. I thought we talked about that, but it wasn't going to be for another year.
It's not going to be in for another year. So in the notes I put, Caliendo in 3 over Cardenas. A lot of Chatter Cardenas will transfer. I just find it interesting, he was in the finals against a Hawkeye, and the chatter is that Cardenas could graduate this year and transfer for his final year. I think he only has 1 left. He might have 2. Anyway, and a lot of arrows pointing to Iowa for Cardenas.
Yeah, but so anyway, so 97 says who? ? This dude is a Key and Peele name. CC injured.
Listen, I ain't trying to be funny or disrespectful, but that name is crazy. I can't pronounce it. I ain't even gonna try.
I'll try.
I'll just look silly.
Garivos Kuwikabakila.
Stop.
Jason Bryant fact check me, because Jason Bryant could say this in his sleep without even thinking. He'll just look at it and pronounce it correctly.
So he wins. Now, so he wins, but he was getting beat. He was an inch away from getting teched by Christian Carroll. Carroll gets a takedown and maybe an exposure out of bounds, and then Christian Carroll can't get up, and he's holding his back. But I talked to the coaches, and they said it's an abdominal strain, tear, something. And he should be okay, but let's hope he's okay. He looked great. Christian Carroll looked great.
He had a tech in 16 seconds and a tech in 29 seconds. What happened in the DQ match? I missed that one.
The DQ?
He won via DQ over Rogers.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch that. I just watched the one where he got hurt, and he was up 8-0 in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, he was looking awesome this weekend.
And Dean, who just came in to Iowa as their 97-pounder. The U23 rep last year, he got beat by Tommy Deneen from South Dakota State on the front side of that bracket. At 125, freshman Daniel Herrera won for Iowa State.
And he has the U23 team spot.
And he has it, right? And so does Key and Peele have it too?
Yep.
Key and Peele has it. Herrera has it. Welsh has it. The others have to be turned down. The others, they can't, they have to say, I don't declare.
Yeah, and I think like 6 of the 7 are at Final X. So we're not going to know nothing until at least Final X, because I mean, if you look at the 7 guys who can take the spot, Luke's at Final X, Jack's at Final X, Blaze is at Final X but for 3rd, Duke Final X, Messenbrink Final X, Haynes Final X, Barr Final X. So they're all Final X, but
yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Hopefully I get to go. Hopefully I get to go to Bulgaria and Athens for cadet and junior worlds. But tomorrow I have to fly to Chicago.
Did you go to Geneva this weekend?
I did not go. This is what happened. I've been talking to Izzy Martinez for a couple weeks about a role at Real American Freestyle, and like Thursday night, he was like, you got to come to Chicago. It's done deal. It's going to be announced tomorrow. And so Friday they put out a press release that I was taking a role there as, I think they called it talent development, vice president of talent development. And so I got to go to Chicago tomorrow to meet with Izzy and some of the staff from Real American Freestyle, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think, there's a lot of questions. I can't. I think I would be out of place to say too much right now, and frankly, there's a lot I don't know right now. Everything's sort of just coming into form, coming into shape, but I think it's safe to say that. I love wrestling, and it's done a lot for me, and I think it's, no matter what way you slice it, like in the perfect universe, this Real American Freestyle could be UFC. If I could wave a wand, it would be the biggest thing in the world, and all of our wrestlers would be pros, and we'd have a big thing, whether I was involved or not. In the most humble aspect, it's a challenge to get a new pro league off the ground, and I love nothing more than the opportunity to try to make opportunities for wrestlers and to grow the sport of wrestling. And so, from one pole to the other, whether it's a startup and we're moving inch by inch, or if it gets mainstream coverage and it's the next big thing, either way, I look at it as a way to grow the sport and to give guys opportunities. And so I'm getting on a plane to figure some stuff out.
I love it. Do you have I asked you this off air, but you have all your Final X stuff good to go? I would say book travel, but you're 45 minutes from the venue.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting too, because Izzy coaches Juliana Pena, the champ in UFC, and guess where she's fighting? The Prudential Center in Newark. And guess when she's fighting? Next Saturday. So I might be at the Prudential Center in Newark the next 2 Saturdays.
I did find a flight home at 11 p.m. I gotta scoot over to JFK. And by the way, somebody was in the comments, and maybe it's my fault for not giving context. Somebody was in the comments after I said, like, I need to find a way to get home, like somebody drive me home. I can't drive at night. That's the context. I go to bed early, and I was telling you after we got off the air, because I'm like, now it's fine. I got a flight at JFK at like 11:30. It's perfect. So I'll scoot over to JFK in an hour flight, and I'm home on Father's Day. We can do a show, Final X recap Sunday morning. But I thought I've told the story on here before, but maybe not. But like, when I drive, especially in the dark or at night, I'm so tired, I just want to fall asleep. And driving home from the Penn State-Ohio State duel, like 5 years ago, it was the big Penn State-Ohio State duel in Rec Hall when Sarge, yeah. And so I was staying at Cal's house that weekend, and I told him, listen, I'm just going to head home. He's like, you sure? Like, you don't want to just sleep here tonight? I'm like, I'm just going to head home. I'm good. I have so much adrenaline from the duel. Like, I'm just going to take a Red Bull and drive home. And, like, halfway home, I just, like, started dozing off. And I kept catching myself. And I'm just like, okay. And then, like, an hour outside of Rochester, I fell asleep, went off into the ravine. And it was, like, one of those spots, like, you have a guardrail, but there was a spot where, like, there was no guardrail. And so I fell asleep, and I went down the ditch in that spot. And as soon as you went over, like, you're basically go. So I turn the wheel to get back onto the road, and I slide all the way down the guardrail. And thankfully, I was fine. The truck had some damage. But I said, like, I'm never going to drive at night again. Like, it's stupid. Why bother? So I was trying to either get an Uber or get something so I can be home in the morning. But this works out perfect to just catch a flight from JFK.
How long are you in Florida?
TBD.
Yeah.
For the weekish. For the weekish.
I'm just going to take a one-way flight to Chicago, meet with Iz, try to hammer out some stuff. It does sound promising, though, for sure, which is, I mean, the most important thing is to the athletes, you know? I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not still in the mindset of, like, wrestlers deserve anything or, you know, we're big bad wrestling and we're the toughest guys and we deserve stuff because we're great and it's the greatest sport. Nobody deserves anything. You deserve what people are interested in. I get that. But I will say that for the entirety of our sport, our guys work our ass off, and girls, they work their ass off to chase nothing more than achievement. That's it, right? Get a scholarship, okay. But you're working to get Olympic gold. You're working to get a state title. You're working to win Fargo or Super 32. And that's it. And you're working just out of purity. It would be nice if our wrestlers could chase a professional career and we could see more of them and we can give them more opportunities and they can stick around longer and they can get more endorsement deals.
100%.
So that's where that's where my mind is at. Let's do it for the athletes, and let's get them
for the athletes. And I talked to Izzy too. I'm going to try to get involved in some way. You know, Izzy wants me involved, and I said, let's figure it out. Willie's in like this. I love the team involved, and you know, there's a lot happening. I think there's a lot of people that want to do a lot of good things.
You got to meet some of them in Philly.
Yeah. All right, Willie. When are we doing a Final X preview this week?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I can't believe Final X is already next weekend.
Yeah, we should probably hold off on it till like the following week. This week I got. Well, we should do a show at the end of the week, just talking about whatever comes up, and if not much comes up, maybe we'll just do a conversational chat. I just published June 1st or June 15th first calls list. Who I think your favorite team should prioritize in the recruiting process and what their needs are and what it looks like in the class of 2027. First calls are June 15th. I got that. I'll have updated rankings, and I will have 2028 big board out soon. Those are the things I'm working on. I'll be working on them as I fly tomorrow. And after that, I don't know too much. Me and you do a show at the end of the week, and then early next week we'll do a Final X show.
Yeah, and then Father's Day morning, Final X recap show, and then kind
Yeah,
of
baby.
gets quiet. We're gonna have to get creative. I think after Final X, like once all the world teams are set and it's kind of like officially the off season, then I think it's gonna be fun to dive into some of these one-off topics like
Yeah.
big board bust or
Yeah.
different. Maybe why don't you guys sound off in the comments?
Yeah,
I
put it
hate
in the
saying that.
comments.
Sound off in the comments on what topics you guys would like us to cover starting like mid-June when it starts.
Yeah,
dying down a
off-season
bit.
topics.
Yeah. All right, like, subscribe. That's the show. Go Bills.
Go Bills.